Time being 6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gary, before you sit down, do you know which switches the speakers in that closet? It's the top bigger one. If you could check that, please.
Dan, get the microphone up there as long as you're up.
You got it. You don't even need two good arms.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Patty.
Dan,
Here.
Sherry,
Here.
Don,
Here.
Wanda,
Here.
Joe.
Here. Quorum present. At this time, would any commissioner have financial or non-financial conflict of interest?
No. I do not.
I have none.
I do not.
Okay, before we approve the agenda, the CUP for Blum has been pulled, so there will be no Board of Adjustment. Any more additions or corrections?
Move approval of the amended agenda.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, at this time, I would take public comment. If anybody in the audience would care to make a general public comment, now's your time. Hearing and seeing none.
Yep, right. Anyway, Louis Johnson, Volin. My thing this week is, you ever think about changing the name of the county to Eusta?
Do what?
Eusta.
Use it.
We used to have Gurney Seed and Nursery. We used to have the cement plant. We used to have a couple of creameries. We used to have 2 movie theaters. And we used to have at one time 16 grocery stores. And there's a reason we don't have them anymore. And it's because of the fact that they couldn't make a living. So things are continually changing, and the ones that adapted, adjusted are still in business. The ones that didn't are gone. We had an egg processing plant in Yankton. That didn't disappear, that moved to Nebraska, and they got just a whole bunch more chickens in one spot, and they're going great guns. And that being said, we have an economic development director. I've yet to see a report on economic development in this county. And I've seen several, 2 or 3 anyway, reports on the Mead Center. Are we more concerned about the past in this county than we are the future? Maybe we ought to readjust our thinking. Thank you.
Anybody else care to make public comment?
Lauren Nelson. Sorry I'm late, grading papers. Just want to say I was at the VFW on Saturday for the debate, and I just want to applaud you guys for funding the veteran services. When I heard there was a question asked of Cody, he said, how much does the state kick in? And he said $3,000. I was just kind of astonished. I thought the state kicked in more than that for the services that they provide here in the county. And the fact that too that Cody, talks about how he does so many regional, it's not just Yankton County, it's in the region. So just want to stand here and say that's one of the things I came away, besides other things from Saturday, that just really hit me, and I've been really thinking about that the last couple days, and just saying thank you for funding that and providing those services for our veterans.
Yeah, we think we have the only full-time VSO in the area, so the surrounding counties do not have a full-time.
Anybody else care to
Thank
make
you, Lauren.
public comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. Mr. Hunoff.
Hello, and thanks for giving me some time tonight. I do appreciate it. I've been thinking about time lately. I was at the Meade Building actually last week, where they have an entire room dedicated to the Lewis and Clark expedition. And that was 220 years ago, August 29th, 1802, when Lewis and Clark arrived in this place we now call Yankton County. And they had a 2-day council with Chief White Crane and other Yankton Sioux leaders. It was really an historic moment in time for this area. And just 164 years ago, this city of Yankton, our county seat, was still a Sioux village. It was, based on sketches I've seen, there were probably teepees standing right here where our county government center is now located. 132 years ago, December 29th, 1890, was probably the darkest day in South Dakota history. Just 13 months after we became a state, soldiers slaughtered, mostly unarmed, 300 Lakota, women, children, babies, older men. Some ran for their lives, but they were hunted down and shot and killed up to as far as 2 miles away from the camp. And back at the camp, there were 4 rapid-fire artillery guns that were just mowing members of the tribe down and spilling blood without mercy. So 1802, 1858, and 1890 might seem a long time ago, but those are short spans across this land we call Yankton County. White people have lived in South Dakota for about 175 years. Indigenous people have been here for over 20,000 years. 32 years ago, the late Governor George Mickelson issued a proclamation calling for Indians and non-Indians to set aside past differences and work to improve mutual respect and understanding between the two groups. And he said 1990 will be our year of reconciliation. And the reason that was important is because he reflected on that tragic massacre of 100 years before. He said we need to heal old wounds. And the most significant action he took at that time was to take an existing holiday, Columbus Day, second Monday in October, and he changed that in South Dakota to Native American Day. And he hoped this holiday would change how some people view Native Americans. He wanted it to be a day to celebrate the American Indian legacy of strength and fortitude, and to celebrate Indian culture's harmony with nature, and the strong Native belief that all humans are good and deserve respect. He said it should also be a day to remember the resilience of Native American people and recognize these injustices that they have endured, such as Wounded Knee, and the many treaties our government made with the Indian tribes but did not honor. You might have noticed some new art in the room tonight. The other statues I'd had been in here about 10 years. So now we've got the seated Lincoln, which is a replica of President Lincoln as he appears on the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. And then up there is Appeal to the Great Spirit. That's where the Thinker used to be located, by Cyrus Dallin. And I guess I just hope that that sculpture lets people entering this room know that Yankton County does have respect and appreciation for our Native American past. But among South Dakota's 66 counties, Yankton County is one of just 3 that does not recognize Native American Day as an official county holiday. Next Monday, our banks will be closed, schools will be closed, post office will be closed, federal offices will be closed, state offices will be closed. 63 of 66 counties will have their offices closed. And Yankton County will be open. But there will be no mail to process, few phone calls to answer, and not many customers to wait on. And I base that on the fact that this past Juneteenth, it was as quiet as that statue in this building. And I think part of that is because maybe a lot of people just assume we're closed, but there certainly wasn't a lot to do. I mean, I contacted all 66 county auditors to ask what holidays they closed for in 2021. I put a summary of my findings on your desk. If you found that, I don't know, but 3 things to note. 76% of South Dakota counties simply follow the state holiday schedule, which includes Native American Day and Juneteenth. 92% of counties gave anywhere from 1 to 4 more paid holidays to their employees than Yankton County did last year. And a lot of that's due to that state holiday schedule. And no South Dakota counties had fewer paid holidays than Yankton County last year. In the past, I've had commissioners tell me, and I've been asking this for 8-10 years, I'm not just picking on this commission, but I've had commissioners tell me we don't close for Native American Day because we close the day after Thanksgiving. And that's a false equivalent, I think, because you can see by that research, if you found it, that all of the counties are closed the day after Thanksgiving, and 95% are closed for Native American Day. So in nearly every other county, employees were not asked to choose between those 2 days. Now, I've had a lot of, and again, this goes back not just 4 years, but about 8 to 10 with me. I've had a lot of we'll look at it answers from commissioners about closing to honor Native American Day. Some might call this kicking the can down the road, but I've heard we'll form a committee to look at it. Or we'll look at it next year, or look at it the next department head meeting, or look at it after the next election, or look at it the next time our handbook is updated, or the next time we have a strategic planning session. But there's no follow-up. And I don't recall the board ever taking a vote on this issue. I'm going to close by asking, please take that vote tonight. Make Native American Day an official Yankton County holiday, starting next Monday and in the years to follow. And if you choose not to, you want to keep Yankton County in that tiny minority of South Dakota counties that do not close on Native American Day, it would be helpful to know why. Maybe I'll quit asking if I hear a good reason why. I spoke with our county department heads, and some of them are here tonight. They couldn't all make it, but for what it's worth, I talked to all of them today, either in person or on the phone, and all voiced support for making Native American Day an official Yankton County holiday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any comments, questions, discussion at the commission?
Well, the only comment I have is that at the bottom of the handout, it indicates that 50 of 66 counties follow the state holiday schedule, which is set forth in SDCL 1-5-1, which provides for 11 holidays, which is what this Yankton County provides for.
The state always gets 4 administrative days, or anywhere from 3 to 4.
You need to stand at the microphone because our listeners at home can't hear you if you don't. And I understand that.
Yeah. As I was going to say, the state has 11 official holidays, but for the last at least 34 years, they've always granted part of Good Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. They're about as automatic as anything can get.
Well, I understand that the governor oftentimes lets state employees off on Christmas Eve and Good Friday, which theoretically they're not supposed to do because that is a state versus religion thing. But having said that, I wasn't here when the handbook was created, and it was my understanding at that time that the reason that the day after Thanksgiving or Black Friday was given was in exchange for Native American Day.
That's correct, but I tried to point out that's not a choice 95% of the counties were asked to make. So I don't know if that's, to me, that's not really fair to make them choose when most counties get both.
Well, I don't know that this is a tit for tat with every other county.
At the 8-county meeting, I know we discussed Juneteenth, and I think we hit on Native American Day, and most of the other counties around us, I think all the other ones celebrate those days. And the comment was that counties are competing for employees with the state and with so many other organizations. So we need to be competitive in holidays. And so I guess I'm in favor of granting Native American Day personally. I think that would help. There's not any extra cost to the county for being closed. And really, I think it's something for morale. I mean, we have had, unfortunately, some employee turnover, and maybe this is something to do that we could do to help that.
I don't think the employee turnover of late was
Well,
because of Native American Day or
Sure,
Juneteenth.
Sure, but, an extra holiday, that's a way of, showing some appreciation, so. I guess if you'd like a motion, I'd make a motion to grant Native American Day.
I do believe if we're going to do this, we need to change the handbook to align with the statute. Because this will be something that is brought up every year. That is one reason we added Good Friday to the handbook, is because every year it always came before the commission. And so we added it to the handbook to stop making it so subjective and to make it more objective. This is what we follow, so we move on.
Then I
So,
say,
so if we're going to give Native American Day off this month, I do think we need to amend the handbook. I don't think we can amend the handbook tonight because it's not on the agenda, so we would need to put that on another meeting to amend the agenda to align with SDCL 151. But then we have 11 official holidays, and then all those holidays are on the state to decide.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Back to your motion, Dan. Was your motion to add that to the county schedule or for this year?
Well, I think this year, and ultimately, I think it makes sense to just follow the state schedule like the vast majority of counties do. But I mean, I've tried that, I think, several times and never got a second. So I think my motion right now is to do Native American Day for this time. And if we want to address it and put it in the handbook, I think that's a great idea.
I don't think we can just do that.
No, I
No,
don't
at the next
want to
meeting,
amend the
put it the
handbook
next meeting.
tonight, so.
It's on the agenda, you can do it for this year, but the
this year.
handbook, you'll have
The
to.
handbook will have to be
Yeah,
separate.
that's what, correct.
And how we got to where we're at, when we were looking at the handbook, we had discussion, I don't know if it was during a strategic planning meeting or during a normal meeting, but we selected the number of days we could all agree on in total to give holiday, since you weren't here, Wanda. And then of those, so we selected X amount of days, and then of those days, we selected which holidays. And there has been lots of discussion since of just simply following the state schedule, but as we're sitting here, nothing has been done, and if we need to put that on the next agenda, I'm more than comfortable doing so. For the,
I have one kind of simplistic question. We're talking about the possibility of the difference between us and the rest is 3 days. We have 100 employees in the county, so that's 300 days. Are we overemployed by 1 or 2 people?
Well, the sheriff's office, the jail, and the ambulance teams do not get the day off. They would get holiday pay. So the folks that would actually get the day off would be the office buildings, Mike's highway team, unless there's a snow day or something that they would have to work that day. So, can I guess 50-50 there, maybe?
roughly,
Roughly 50-50?
maybe not even.
Pay or day off is
Maybe
kind of
not.
the same.
So, so the statement that it doesn't cost the county anything is not quite right, because it does cost the county something.
Yeah.
But this is the world we live in today.
So for the motion at hand to grant Native American Day for 2022, is there a second?
I will second it.
Further discussion?
Then, for this year, then are we getting rid of Black Friday?
No.
Or
this
is that
would
a
be an
different motion?
This would be in addition to, it'd be my,
This would be an additional holiday, how the motion is stated.
and it was not uncommon for additional holidays to be requested and/or granted and sometimes denied. And that's when we redid the handbook. The intent was to pick the number of holidays and then that's it. But as with most things, I think periodic reviews must be evaluated. Any more discussion on the motion at hand? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion passes 3-2.
So I would request that we put discussion on amending the handbook on the next agenda to get away from the subjectivity of this.
I would agree. Okay.
I'll just put county handbook, is that okay?
Yeah, handbook.
Probably holiday
Holiday
schedule.
schedule.
Holiday schedule in the county handbook. Employee handbook.
Okay.
Okay. It'll be closed. With that, we'll move to item 6, Highway 5-year plan and gravel bid. We had
Back
a
on-
5-year plan, what was that, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
On the 19th,
19th.
it was a Monday night. Went through the highway 5-year plan. I guess, does anybody have any questions?
It was well attended. We had a long discussion. It was a good meeting.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the 5-year plan.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, I have, I guess I'm looking for permission to go out to bid for some gravel. We have an opportunity that showed up over in Ziskov Township where we've never had gravel before. Kind of an ideal place. It's right on the northern edge of Ziskov Township, so it'd work great for South Ziskov, Lesterville.
Need a motion to go out for bid.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
Whose gravel is this?
Well, we have to bid
Well,
it.
we have to
will
bid
We're
it.
bidding a location.
We have to bid,
Oh, okay.
so.
I think the hopes is that
So
somebody
we
in
don't
that
know
area.
yet.
The hopes is somebody in that area would
Oh.
bid that.
Cut down
Gotcha.
on hauling costs.
Right.
I
that-
thought that he knew of some.
Oh. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And bridge
next-
improvement grant.
Next is the bridge improvement grant, the big grant. It's a preliminary engineering study for the Jamesville Bridge. We applied for it back in beginning of August, and we were awarded it.
Nice.
The dollar amount that will be.
Johnson or Jamesville?
Johnson. Did I say Jamesville?
You did.
Yes. I'm sorry. Johnson Bridge,
There
sorry.
you go.
Grant amount will be for $94,500. And I'm hoping this project should wrap up. If we sign the work agreement, they can get started on it this fall and should be wrapped up by midsummer, so, which would be good. I'm checking into a federal grant that just came out this year for bridge replacements, so. Got another avenue, it's 90-10 grant, so
And we're gonna need it.
we will need some money. So, and this is one extra step in the, foot in the door to get things rolling on something like this.
So correct me, with the hopes of this or intention would essentially have the PE done if grants and monies came available. We have a shovel-ready project too.
So I don't know, I'm checking on the dates, I haven't heard back on the dates for the grant applications next year for the federal replacement. This year it was September 8th, so if it's September 8th, beginning of September next year, we'd be sitting good for applying for something.
And part of that grant required a preliminary engineering be done.
Correct.
Okay. I'd
You ready
enter-
for a motion? I would
Yes.
move to approve the bridge improvement grant agreement for 68, 134, 120.
Excuse me, second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Dan?
Yeah, I voted.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, and with that, we are going to move on to the item 7, the 310th Street discussion. Dan, do you want to lead this?
Sure. We all know there's problems with 310. It's not a straight road. The county commission back in 2014 did a resolution declaring it to be a section line right-of-way and adopted a resolution that basically says the county commission can determine whatever maintenance level we want to do it in best interest of the county and in consideration of safety and welfare of the traveling public. So that was adopted the 6th day of November in 2014. So it is a county road, unless we want to, take away that resolution. That was 2 commissions ago. I believe what Doug and the citizens are asking is just to have removed. Is that correct, Doug? Okay, do you want to come up and kind of tell us what you're looking at? And we've had several conversations. You came in a couple months ago, and then you came in on the 5-year plan. And I think we just need to decide, are we gonna keep it a minimum maintenance road? You're not asking for gravel, you're not asking for regular maintenance, you're just
No,
asking
not
to
asking for anything
take
other
down-
than just to have the sign removed. The sign that's there kind of invites people that don't live out there to kind of come and use it for a reckless time being with four-wheelers, side-by-side, snowmobiles, and they don't even live out there. So if we could just have the sign removed and then ask when they blade 434 in Kaiser Road, if they could include us also. Nothing special, but about the only road we're asking about that doesn't cost any money. So if we could just have the sign removed and eliminate some people, and then if 434 and Kaiser Road get bladed, if we could get bladed also. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Did you want to comment?
Well, we all know that 310 is not where it's supposed to be. It's one of my concerns is pulling them signs. Are we adding more of a liability? Probably not. I guess, I don't know. I have a hard time removing them signs. There's no drainage. the ditches are wrong. There are no ditches. The road is most likely in someone's yard as we speak.
Can I ask you something? What's the definition of a minimum maintenance road?
It's a level less maintenance than a primary.
So
So therefore, also that includes, a primary gravel. You'll have drainage, you'll have culverts, all that. Well, the way it is now, there is none of that. The only place there's a culvert is the far east end or west end in one low spot, and then also right at 434 intersection. Also, with no drainage, no proper drainage, then it becomes a ice hazard in the spring. So are we gonna have to go out there and scratch the ice off or do some kind of abnormal stuff to lose the ice?
So my understanding is the hesitation isn't that we can't send a maintainer down the road.
And we do send a maintainer down the road. I don't feel that we need to send it down that road every time we do 434, just for the fact that the way the dry conditions have been and where that road is placed, if we send the blade out there twice a week, well,
You're gonna
the
destroy
dust,
that
we're gonna
road.
dust some people out, seriously
You're gonna do what?
dust them out.
Oh, dust them out.
If we have a dry year, when someone's garage is only 30 foot away from
Right,
the road.
right.
Do you disagree that there are those folks who use minimum maintenance roads for goofing off?
Do I disagree with that?
Yeah.
No, but I do not disagree with that, but like going off-roading, mudding, this is a gravel road, I don't foresee that being an issue.
Right.
So I'm looking at the definition of a minimum maintenance road here, and it says it's a road or a segment of a road that is used only occasionally or intermittently for passenger and commercial travel. And right now, would you say that is a minimum maintenance road? Or is it a minimum maintenance road because it was in the past? We can't change the fact that the road isn't where it's supposed to be and that people have built houses there. We're stuck with it. It's not a great situation. Nobody says it is. But I just don't feel right now that it's used occasionally and intermittently.
So what my question is what is the difference between us going out there and blading it and doing snow removal and leaving the signs there versus taking the signs
Yeah.
down?
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
what is the difference?
Well, because they're in here and requesting that. Because there's a lot of roads that are used less frequently than that aren't minimum maintenance. Out by me, 439 south of 300, that's a 2-mile stretch where nobody lives on it. That's not a minimum maintenance road.
How
And-
many people live on 310?
There's about 15 people that live on that road.
You have to go so that our viewers at home can hear.
That's 15 families, isn't
There's
it?
about 15 people that live on that road. But
Family.
that road,
Families, not people.
oh, excuse me, 15 families that live on that road, but it's also used by Cedar Hills and Sundance. So if you put a marker, a strip on that road, you would see that there's a lot of traffic on that road.
Best guess, how many in a day?
How many in a day?
Yeah, just a guess.
If you want to count UPS and FedEx, I'll bet you there's 40 trips, 50 trips on that road each day,
Okay.
which has increased a lot over the years because of the housing development. And the more houses that you're going to build out there, the more traffic it's going to get. Now, I realize it's not a permanent or a county road that's perfect, but people build out there. People have to use that road, like it or not. It gets used a lot, and we just like to see it used
as safe as we can. No, I'm sorry, Mike, but that's how it is. I'm sorry. I sure wish you would take that sign off.
So, Mike, if we're gonna solve some of your problems, which I think I heard ditches, drainage, et cetera, get it on the right,
And get it on the
section
line.
line, how much would it cost, for the county to complete that? Because 15 families is a lot of families.
So when we put the cell tower out there, there was a quote that was given by our engineering firm, and I know it was north of $500,000. Because you had to dig the ditches, you had to put the culverts in, you had to get the base in with the gravel on it. And that was dollars from 3 years, 3 years ago.
I think the issue, we're in a pickle because in 2014, the county put gravel on that and took essentially ownership.
No, they did
And
a
I don't think-
resolution. They
I-
did a resolution
I don't
accepting
think
it.
the residents along there are asking for a total overhaul of the road. I think the problem, or Mike's hesitation, is if the definition of that road is legally changed, are we going to be required to put that road down the right of way, put the ditches, the drainage, and everything with it? And so, I know you've looked at this over and over and talked to the state several times, and there's nobody that's giving a clear answer of exactly what those repercussions would be if we took that sign down.
What's the difference between no and low?
It's a low maintenance now, correct?
Minimum.
minimum
maintenance.
maintenance.
No maintenance means no.
Okay.
So it's, I don't want to say it's hesitation because we don't want to do it or that their road shouldn't be maintained. It's what all that entails and what it brings. And I think there's a lot of unknowns. And I absolutely can appreciate the concerns there. It's just more complicated than just take the sign down and blade it.
I guess I would like to see that someday maybe we could put the road where it needs to be, do the drainage, make it right, but
I know with the 5-year plan, Commissioner Lowe suggested getting together with the township members and discussing what options might be for organizing or even within the township, and I don't know if anything there has happened yet. I think that's a viable avenue. My personal opinion would be in the meantime, we do, blade it when we can and when it's appropriate, and try to work towards a solution. But again, I just don't think it's as simple as getting rid of the signs. That road was put in the wrong spot.
Joe, can I add something?
Come on, Louis.
Louis Johnson, back when Alan Sorensen was highway superintendent, Bob Law and I bid grading that road up 2 times. The first time we came up with our own estimates and he had culverts in his and I had the county furnishing them. So then we went back and we rebid them with the set of what had to go in and what didn't. And when we came to the meeting, it was brought to our attention the county had been to court twice over whether or not it was their responsibility to put a road in there, and the county won both times. And I have to agree with Mike, there is no drainage, there is no culverts. Where you have to be real careful about is, number one, if I put a driveway into a field or off a county road where I go into it one time all year, I have to have a 40-foot culvert, which an 18-inch, and it's gotta be new, and now that's $1,200, and there's no driveways out there with culverts in them. So you're gonna make them put culverts in their driveways? And do I blame them? No, I don't blame them. Do I use the road? Yeah, I use the road, because when I work over at Sundance Ridge, I go that way. I have no idea, what does Cedar Hills do?
Cedar Hills does nothing for us.
They have their own road
On
district.
the Cedar Hills
They have
Road.
their own.
They have a road district.
Yeah, would a road district be a better answer?
Can't do it because you can't take a government road and make a road
Okay,
district
all
out of
right,
it.
All right, so that ended that.
Yep. But you can
I
organize and
would
the
be
township
very
takes
careful
it.
because otherwise, if you well, now wait a minute, those guys didn't have to grade the road up. I'm gonna open the section line, so why can't I just put gravel on top of the hills and the grass and the cactus and whatever else is out there? You set the precedent. And as far as minimum maintenance or low maintenance or whatever, that to me is a good option. And as far as keeping the four-wheelers off, Doug, I don't have a clue because I have them out on my road. And I live a lot farther away from any housing developments than you do. And you just, it's a fact of life. Good luck.
Dan, have you looked at a resolution to change that,
A resolution for, what's that?
to remove the minimum maintenance?
I have not, I guess, Doug just wanted to come in and ask for that. Do we need a resolution to remove a minimum maintenance road? Well, is there any, I guess, any support to do it? It doesn't sound like, the commission wants to do that, I guess, at this point.
I think what's being offered is to do the maintenance requested, but just at this time, we cannot remove the sign. Because there are laws that say, once that's a road, we have to have a certain right-of-way. Is it 66 feet?
Well,
Yep.
It is, I mean, is anybody,
There is a 66-foot right-of-way there, but it's not, I guarantee it's on the one guy's property.
Correct, and so there's an issue there. And there are laws around if a road is in place for so long, and I can't quote how many years, but then you can leave the road there, but you have to acquire the right-of-way from the new road.
Right.
So it's not just as easy as, well, just take down the sign. There are things we have to do to make sure we're legally covered.
does anybody,
What can you do for us?
Well, I just said Mike has stated he can maintain the road enough to, I'm not sure how you put it, Mike, but remove the snow in the winter. But at this point, we're not going to go in and put culverts in or things like that, make ditches and make you put your culverts in on your access. But some level of maintenance, whatever is appropriate. But this year, I mean, if you go out and grade every week, it's nothing but dust. So it would be the applicable whatever for the time of year.
And which we have bladed it this year.
Yeah,
You have. Yeah.
yep.
Didn't
Question,
today, but
question,
you have, you know.
question. Is it possible that the county could sell them the existing road?
No, you cannot transfer ownership once you take it. And in 2014, they took ownership. So now it's ours. That's clear, and I
They put gravel and bladed it twice, years ago. But now, nothing's been done.
yeah.
Even if you didn't blade it every time, once in a while, you know. 'Cause it gets washboardy and ruddy, just like 434 on Kaiser Road.
you know, but this year,
Find one in the county that doesn't get washboardy.
Pardon me? Well, yeah, I know.
and that's the point. This year is horrible. I live on a gravel road, and it's not been graded very often all summer. And it's got washboards, because if they come out, they get worse. And then it's dust.
This gets a lot of traffic, you know,
Yep. My road does too,
yeah.
so.
But different developments, Cedar Ridge, in Sundance and the other development, there's two other developments that use it a lot.
Mike, would you say this is the highest use minimum maintenance road in the county? Is that an accurate statement?
I would say so.
Okay, so is there any, doesn't sound like that's gonna change, but is there any long-term plan to bring that road into compliance? I mean, it's like it's like it is because of what we inherited. So, I mean, are we gonna leave it as it is then, or are we gonna?
So that's the thing is are we gonna force all them people to pay for culverts in all their driveways?
And take the right of way.
I think
Because,
what I see,
Because that's one of the biggest things is there's many places in this county where their culverts are undersized because they were put in before we had the requirements.
what I think needs to happen if this is going to move forward is, one, I do think that township organizing and serious discussions need to be had, and then you have control over that road. Two, and Dan, if you wanna take charge on this, I think there needs to be some meetings out there with homeowners and gather who's willing to give up properties for right-of-ways if that road does not move, and who's willing to put in the culverts and the costs and everything associated, because it, like I said, it's not just take the sign down and everybody's happy. If it was that easy, we would have done it by now. There's a lot of planning, organization, and cooperation that needs to happen.
Good.
I think in the meantime, we will make an effort to do what we can to get that bladed when we're out there.
And there's gonna be like 10, 20 feet of snow this year, so we'll help you with that too.
Right.
I wish we had a better answer, but it's an ugly situation, to
Yeah.
be quite honest.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Okay. If there's nothing else on that, we will move on. There's no Board of Adjustment, so we will go to item 9, the East River Electric Rezone first reading. Now, what we're gonna do for these, this is a first reading. We will not be taking any action on this tonight. There's gonna be 2 readings. So at this session, there'll simply be a reading. We will take public comment. Everybody will have 3 minutes per person to make comment. We'll take note of that. Public comment will close, and that will be the end of the first reading. At the next meeting, we'll have the second reading, and at that point, we'll take action. And there will be public comment again at that meeting as well.
You're gonna let them go first, and then public comment?
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I'll have East River I'll let them present, and then we can do public comment if there's questions or comment on that. So with that, Gary, do you want to kick off the first reading, I guess?
So the applicant is requesting to rezone two parcels from rural transitional and low-density residential to moderate-density residential per Article 18, Section 1809, and Article 20, Section 2003. Said property is legally described as lots 1 and 2 of Lewis and Clark Substation Addition in the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 15, and in the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 22, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota, containing 3.00 acres more or less, Utica South Township.
Oh, sorry. While Gary's getting that, would you mind stating your name for the record and?
My name is Jure Wire. I work for East River Electric. I'm the permitting coordinator. Gary mentioned he gave you all a copy, so it'll be a little easier to read. First of all, thank you for allowing us to be here. Wire, W-I-R-E, yep. To speak on the property.
Sorry, I didn't pay attention that was off.
No, you're fine.
Good last name for electricity, right?
You like that?
Yeah.
You know, I just changed it, no. If you have any questions as I'm going along, feel free to chime in.
While you're working on that, I'd like to comment that the email that you sent out with the description of the project was excellent. I think it showed a lot of thought in your planning process.
Well, thank you. It was, yeah, we had a whole team behind that, so thank you.
Was that to the planning and zoning group? Or did you get,
What's that?
oh, an email?
Were you
Okay.
talking just the
So you're
presentation?
talking, okay. I don't think that's on.
The light was on, but it's flipping off for some reason.
Yeah. I know that can be goofy.
Is everything in all that in the,
Is there anybody in the audience that has not seen this? If we started, because we've got the packet. Okay.
Is there extra one paper copy?
I think he's grabbing some. There we go. It's coming on.
Where's IT?
That way we can get started anyway as it comes up. Yeah, where's IT?
Just go ahead and
Go get
start.
started.
Yeah.
All right.
if you
It'll
don't
be
mind.
fine. Figure it out.
Again, Jeray Wire with East River. First of all, like I said, thank you for allowing me to be here, to present here. I'm on the first page. We'll just go over some of the specifics on the project, a little bit of background information. The original East River transmission line and Gavin's Point substation were installed over 50 years ago in 1970. It's served by a 2.5 mile long radial transmission line with access issues.
I think if you double click on the first slide, it'll start.
There we go. All right. The existing system that we have in place is reaching its load and serving capabilities. To address these issues with the load growth and reliability issues for our members, BY Electric, East River has evaluated several, oops, we're getting behind here. Mouse isn't working. There we go. So through this, East River has proposed, well, with the load growth and reliability needs, East River has evaluated several options based on cost, reliability impacts, and feasibility. Through these, Through these findings, East River has proposed a new Lewis and Clark substation and associated transmission lines. The new substation will be located near the high load growth area and allow BY Electric to install more distribution circuits to more efficiently serve the area's load growth and increasing reliability needs. Future load growth and provide stronger ties for load transfers during outages. So if we have a issue with a current line, we can reroute and get power restored quickly. East River is seeking a rezone of this property to accommodate the platting of a smaller lot and allow the utilization of a substation on this property. Some specifics on the current load on that those substations, or the RE members, rural electric members impacted, I guess. There's currently 1,900 meters on that system, and there's additionally 1,500 campsites. So we took census information from 2020, and the meters of just the residents it does affect over 4,600 people, 3,600 campsite folks, and a total of 8,300 people will benefit from this upgrade currently. That's with no future growth. That's just as it stands now. Here we have a picture of the site layout. We've changed this a little bit since we last were here. We added some additional screening on the south side. There's 2 rows of 10 spruce trees staggered, which we took some advice from some neighbors, and we added those 2 rows, and those trees would be planted at about 6 to 8 foot tall, spaded in. That's what our landscape partners have advised, to go with that height just for the success. What we call Lot 2 there on the south, this whole parcel, this 3-acre purchased part of ground that we purchased for the sub-site, we broke it into 2 sites because we didn't need the, as you can see, the entire 3 acres. We just really needed the little over 2 there on the north end. So East River will not be utilizing the south lot 2 for a substation or substation expansion. East River has no plans to utilize this property as of right now. We will make note that the effect of in our right-of-way files that we will not use this for substation growth addition. We'll file those internally, so if the project's ever revisited, it won't be utilized for a substation. As seen on the last slide, we have the 2 rows of the staggered trees, 6 to 8 foot tall Colorado spruce, that will be added on the north side. East River will utilize a nursery specialist to assist with the selection, planting, and maintenance of the trees. This will incorporate watering as required to keep the trees alive. There is a well on the property. We're still working on how we're going to utilize that well to water all the trees on our property. We will be putting in a weed barrier, or we'll be planting a grass barrier to control the weeds in that shelter belt or that property. We contract that out to get a good grass seeding. The property, Lot 2, will serve as a buffer to the Lot 1 where the substation will actually be. East River will continue to allow the present owner of the ground to farm it. It's currently in beans, and we imagine he'll continue a current bean, corn rotation. East River will continue to allow access of the homeowners association right next to the south lots, access to their lots, and for maintenance along that, and continue to continue as we do currently. We don't have any restrictions or anything we will put in, so it'll be open for their use again with respect to the farming practice. The fencing and trees along the west property line will remain. All right, so here are a few pictures of lot 1 where the subsite will go. Here we're looking south along Deer Boulevard. Both of them are from the road and the ditch there. Here we're looking at lot 2, the open lot from Orchid, I don't know if it's Lane Drive, I'm not sure what it is, street. Either way, that's where the White Crane Estates, I believe, is. That's been developed quite a bit, so looks like you guys have a lot going on over that way. Here now we're looking at lot 2, the fence line along the west border, looking south. Here's some more looking south on lot 2. On this slide here, we're looking at a substation near the city of Brandon. As you can see, it's a similar design, similar size. We have trees on all 3 sides other than where the road is. That's our intent for hopefully you know what this will look like when we're done in a few years and everything's matured. Here is a rendering we had DGR do for us. It's a picture of the current lot 2. It has the current trees, and you can see where right along the shelter belt there, DGR threw some additional trees in to show what the screening will look like. Here is just a zoomed in shot of that same rendering. You can see the substation fence, the transmission line going in there, but a lot of the steel structures and.
Is there a reason those lines aren't? Is there a reason those lines aren't buried?
Those are our transmission
They're the
lines.
transmission.
And we don't bury the transmission. B-wise lines are all buried coming out of that. How many circuits? 4 circuits coming out of there. Here we're looking at a hydrology report. This is basically addressing our runoff concerns. This is on a 100-year event. What it's telling us here is it actually will help improve just a little bit the runoff. That is mainly due to the grass and trees we will be planting around the sub. So that, in theory, will be soaking up some of the runoff. Now just to summarize basically what we went over there quick. This project is vital for the system reliability and growth for both East River and BY. The location is key to serving current and future load. East River has incorporated the Homeowners Association screening recommendations to help minimize the impact to the adjacent landowners. We've done studies on the drainage concerns and we've addressed that they will be improved. Lot 2 will continue to be utilized by the present landowner for agriculture. Fencing and trees along Deer Boulevard will remain, and East River will allow the HOA to continue to utilize Lot 2 for access to their properties. Any questions from anybody?
What's the timeline?
You know, we would like to start this fall with construction and have it up by June, July, by the peak for their power.
Up by camping season?
Yes.
So in this lot 2, you said the existing landowner, farmer, is gonna farm that lot 2?
Yeah, we have no plans for Lot 2 right now.
Gary, is it just a permitted use for a power station, or would they have to get a CUP? It just,
So we have to, so basically what this is for is we had to rezone to bring it into compliance for the size.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No more questions. With that, I'll take public comment. Again, come forward, please state your name, and then we'll give you 3 minutes. If you hear a timer go off, try to wrap it up, and the next person can come forward. Don't all come at once.
My name is Greg Henderson. I live at 3708 Christie Lane. Our backyard borders Lot 2, so we certainly have a vested interest in what happens there. I will tell you that initially, when this project came up, I was not very happy about it. But if it's going to happen there, we're going to try to make the best of it, at least I'm speaking personally. I will give East River credit. They did respond to some of the suggestions that we made as a group, at least in our neighborhood. So the screening, I think, is going to help. But honestly, my major concern is how long is that screening going to be binding on that lot? In other words, if they sell it to someone else, what happens to those trees? So we were hoping that they would have some kind of deed restriction or easement or some other more legally binding agreement that those trees would remain. I don't know if this right-of-way file is going to mean much if they sell it to somebody else. So that's my concern. I appreciate what they're doing with the screening. They are taking suggestions. They're trying to be, I think, responsive to that. But I still am concerned about the future without some type of legally binding language that would prevent those trees from being removed in the future. So that's my primary concern. The other thing is, just to let you know, as I understand the situation, the extra land, Lot 2, was purchased because that was just going to have to be part of the land purchase arrangement. You would still be having this conversation with them if they only were changing the zoning on Lot 1. So if there's no other way for the assurances to be provided, perhaps if it's possible to consider this, maybe not rezoning Lot 2 could be an option. You don't need Lot 2 to do the project. They have no intention of using Lot 2 for the project. So perhaps Lot 2 doesn't need to be changed. They would retain ownership, but in order for that property to be used for something in the future, they'd have to go through another process. Again, I'm not saying that that's an absolute thing that would have to be done. I'm just looking for assurances, and perhaps East River can still get us some of those. So, those are my comments. Thank you.
Gary, question on that, like rural transitionals, minimum 20-acre lots. So if we were not, we would have to go through a variance process, right?
Correct.
Okay, that was my question.
I am Amy New of Lewis and Clark West subdivision, and I request that the applicant's request for rezoning be denied. There are better locations for this substation that are not in the backyards of a beautifully established residential neighborhood. The pin for their layout of said lot is in the middle of a tree in our backyard. A big electrical substation does not belong next to residential single-family homes. I invite anyone in this room who would like to live next to a substation. If you would like to live next to this, please stand. We don't want to live next to it either. Bring on the substation for the progress of our community. We love Yankton. It's a beautiful place to live. But please find a location where you are not in the backyard of fine residents of Yankton County. There is room for this proposed site on the north end of the field you're considering near commercial neighborhood. I understand electrical utilities may be a permitted use in the area, but this request to rezone the site does not need to be granted. This is an opportunity to do the right thing. Please deny the request to be rezoned. A big electrical substation does not belong in a residential neighborhood.
Excuse me, can you respond to why?
I think we'll take all the public comment, and then I will give East River a chance to.
Well, I just wanted to know why they didn't choose any of these, either of those other two spots.
I think at the end, you can have about 5 minutes to kind of put some thoughts together.
I am John New. I live at 3706 Christie Lane. First and foremost, I do not want a substation in my backyard. I want you to vote no on the rezoning, please. I built my home in Lewis and Clark West subdivision 24 years ago, thinking that zoning would not allow a commercial operation like a substation to be put next to homes in this area. I am one of many tax-paying citizens who do not want the substation located in this location. I'm very frustrated with BY Electric, who I'm paying a membership to for 2 locations. This does not fit the area down where it is proposed. It is a commercial use. There are 8 substations in Yankton. None of them are in residential areas. The property owner said they could move the substation anywhere in the field if they didn't interrupt their pivots. This is a beautiful area that has been getting developed very quickly. Yankton needs lots of spots to put affordable homes for people to live to fill our available jobs. This doesn't fit in this area. It needs to be in a commercial area and allow this to be used for homes. As I understand it, BY said they could move the substation. We need to give this a lot of thought to rezoning land. People invest life savings in their homes. That rezoning can change values with a vote. This is precise reason to have a zoning ordinance. I ask you to vote no on this rezoning. Thank you.
Anybody else at this time care to make public comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. I'll ask Mr. Wire or BY representative to try to keep it fairly brief, about 5 minutes or so, and then if there's any
Sure.
wrapped up questions, we can.
All right, my name is Steve Arbach. I'm the Special Projects Manager for East River. One of the first things I want to mention is those trees that you saw looking south towards Lot 1 will remain in place. So those are established trees now. We are adding additional screening around the station, around basically all 3 sides. The west will be low, because our incoming lines, we don't want trees growing into the lines. So when you look at that, basically that drawing that we gave you, the deciduous trees will remain in place to be a buffer to the lots to the south. The station itself is an ideal location for BY. We went through some extensive discussions with BY. They have 4 circuits that they can tie into right at that location. It works out very well for existing and future load growth in that area. We have done, we've worked with the HOA to comply to some of their requests. As far as a deed restriction, it's nothing that we've ever done. We really didn't want to go that route. You know, if the commission has ability and the desire to put a condition on the rezoning request, that's fine with us. Anything else you guys want to add? Any other questions that you have? Anything I can address?
I don't have any at this time. Thank you.
So some of the other people talked, I know you said this is the ideal location. Some people said, you know, north toward where it's more a commercial area or another location. This works best for you because of the ability to tie into more circuits. Is that correct?
Yes, there's the ability to tie in existing circuits that are right at that location, so they can go all four directions from the site. They will basically bring their feeders right into our station. Everything will be underground except for our incoming 69 kV line, which will actually be a 115 kV line. We build all of our lines to the 115 kV specs anyway. And that, I do want to add that rendition that she was circling around really isn't representative of what this station will look like. The one that we showed you over that's at Brandon right now is more representative.
So there's gonna be one line feeding this from the north and then underground exiting that to BY.
Yes, all the circuits that BY will install will be underground getaways. And the one rendition that we showed you where the screening is in place, you'll see that there's parking up against Deer Boulevard. There's a gravel parking area. And then the fenced area is a smaller area, basically to the east of that, that's basically hidden by those existing deciduous trees.
So is that why you're not choosing the north end? Is because they have some other things running underground there?
Yeah, that, like I said, basically it's the ideal location for BY for the substation.
Well, I get that. I was just inquiring because the lady that spoke a little bit earlier said there's two other options for you.
Certainly there are other places that the substation could be located. Like was mentioned, if the property owner that we're purchasing, the property owner, he has pivots out there. He doesn't want us to interfere with the pivot operations. We selected a location that doesn't. It's in the corner north of the trees where the pivots don't run. But other locations aren't as ideal. And one of the things too that, we really didn't have any desire to purchase Lot 2. It's platted because it's on the other side of a section line, and it was just part of the purchase agreement that was made with our land agent and the existing property owner. We would actually entertain a reasonable offer from the HOA to sell that lot if they so desire.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Okay, at this time, we'll end the first reading. Thank you, sir. Thank you for making comments. That will be the end of the first reading. We will have a second reading at the, try to find my calendar,
18th.
October 18th meeting. Same format. At the end of it, there will be a decision rendered by the commission. Moving on, item 10, E911 Ordinance 11 Amendment, first reading. Same format if anybody's here for that.
As stated, this is the first reading where the public's invited to attend this hearing regarding the proposed amendments to Yankton County E911 Rural Addressing Ordinance 1995, amendment to Yankton County E911 Rural Addressing Ordinance 1995 per Ordinance 22ZN10. Basically, what's happening is, as it states, this hasn't been updated since 1995, and obviously we've had a lot of changes that have occurred since then. So these updates basically are what the current process is with the electronic permits and things. And so that's basically all we worked in coordination with the emergency management group and got it through the committee, E911 committee, and just bringing it up to date, basically.
I know this has been a long time coming and a lot of work between different entities, so. Any questions at all from the commission before I take public comment? Would anybody care to make public comment on this amendment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed, and that will conclude the first reading. We'll move on to item 11, definitions, Article 14, Article 15, Article 17, amendment, first reading.
Again, this is first reading regarding the proposed amendments to Yankton County Ordinance 2020 definitions, Article 15, supplementary district regulations, and Article 17, administrative procedure and enforcement per Ordinance 22ZN11. Basically deals with the discussion about adding information regarding common and shared walls, zero lot lines, picking up the political signs to match the state statute, and a sentence in the building permit exemption, and updating those possibilities.
Questions from the commissioners? Would anybody in the audience care to make public comment at this time? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed and concludes the first reading of definitions, Article 14, Article 15, and Article 17. Item 12, September 20, 2022 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 13, claims.
My only question on the claims, the Motorola's from the ARPA funds, does that include the $20,000 that we're gonna give to the city?
No, I think
Or is
that's
that
just in the
separate?
total, yeah.
Okay. So is included with that? Okay. So I guess that particular, I'm fine with everything else, but I still don't think we should, with our limited budget, we shouldn't be giving $20,000 of ARPA funds to the city of Yankton when their budget is so much higher than ours.
Archery tournament be better?
What's that?
We already approved the radios and the purchase of them.
Move approval of the claims.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed? Nay.
September payroll.
Move approval.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that brings us to public comment. Anybody in the audience care to make a public comment at this time? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. And I'll bring it back to the commissioners for commissioner updates.
So this Friday, there is a meeting at the United Way at 8:30 in the morning. South Dakota Jobs is going to be there, so I'm going to try to make time to go to figure out ways to better recruit folks, if I remember to get up in time for that. Next Thursday, October 13th, the state DOT is hosting a discussion on South Dakota Highway 50 work. And I believe that work is between West City Limits Road and Highway 81. And I think it's to consider putting in a turn lane, if I recall correctly. It's at 5:30 at Fire Station Number 2. Again, that's October 13th. I did get a chance to sit in on a national call yesterday about new dollars that are coming out, still from the ARPA funds, and this is called a Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund to Revenue Sharing Counties. And so there was a $2 billion that was allocated to be given out in 2022 and 2023. And this has to do with PILT counties. There are a lot of counties across the nation that have a lot of federal lands that they receive payments in lieu of taxes instead of taxes from, because the federal government doesn't pay you taxes essentially. And then there's also a refuge revenue sharing programs, and I think that is through, oh crap, I didn't write it down. Anyway, so our county qualified for 2 payments of $50,000 each. So we will receive $100,000. It has been advised that we put this on our next agenda to approve accepting the funds from the government, and then Patty can go in through the ARPA portal, and supposedly within 5-6 days you get your first payment, and then in 2023 you get your next payment. We have to accept it by the end of January 2023. So across South Dakota, 47 counties are receiving the exact same payment we are, because that was the minimum payment that they set in the rules. There's one county receiving $1.1 million for the first payment and $1.1 million for the second, and that's Pennington County. And there was a whole formula around it.
Which county?
Pennington, so that'd be Rapid City. So there's a whole formula around how much land you had in this, how many people you had in your county, how poor your county is. There's a huge deal, but 13 counties didn't get anything. So we were fortunate to get something. There's one thing we cannot spend the dollars on, and that is lobbying. So we cannot pay anybody to do something for us on the state or federal level, et cetera. But they did advise to still be careful with government rules associated with, Davis-Bacon and things like that. So essentially we can use it on salaries or any government responsibility that we have.
Thank you. Any other commissioner updates?
I got something that's just kind of neat. I'm on the National Military and Veteran Service Committee, and we had a local, South Dakota soldier that was accounted for last month from the Korean War. It was a Private First Class Little Bear who was killed in action in North Korea. A lot of people don't realize the remains that we got back from North Korea about, when President Trump was in, they were all placed in formaldehyde, so you can't extract DNA from that. And so what they've developed is a procedure. Everybody back then had tuberculosis, so they did an x-ray of their chests, and they found those records and were able to rebuild the clavicle, and it's just like a fingerprint. So they're be able to identify people from that when DNA doesn't work, and that's pretty amazing. And so after 71 plus years, we brought one of our South Dakota boys home for proper burial, and they may be gone, but they aren't forgotten. So I thought that was a pretty neat story. So that's all I have.
For those at home and for the commission, we lost an employee who typically is doing our recording, so I want to thank Sherry for coming in, going through the process to learn how to record these meetings. This is not on live Facebook or Zoom. This is live streamed on YouTube right now. Hopefully it's working with feedback if it's not. We need to probably discuss at a later meeting what our format looks like going forward. Do we do the YouTube? Do we live stream at all? I think it's popular, so we probably will. Do we need Zoom, et cetera? But for tonight and probably the next meeting, it'll be live streamed on YouTube. So thank you for coming in and taking care of the IT duties. And I think now's as good a time as any. There's a letter floating around on the buzz, the swamp, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think most people are probably aware of it. In that letter was posted another letter of resignation from a former employee who had expressed concerns at her exit interview, and somebody took it upon themselves to put that letter out on the internet and jeopardize many different things in the county. I'm assuming the same person who did that, and I'm going to use the word coward because they did not sign this, put a letter out there of their own that, in their recollection, recapped what was discussed in executive session, and that should have stayed in executive session. There's many issues I think that are wrong with that. One, not having the confidence to discuss employee issues and legal issues within executive session is jeopardized. Putting an unsigned document out on the internet is concerning to me, and even more concerning is that Yankton Buzz, Emily Raddick, feels that it's okay to put documents that slander others and accusations without doing any research and having no signature or backing on them on her webpage. A couple of things that were alleged, like I say, I won't read the whole thing. Commissioner Loest and myself were mostly targeted, accused of trying to sweep the situation under the rug, defending the accused, and actually trying to hire back one of the individuals that was accused of wrongdoing. I took it upon myself prior to the meeting. This is by no means any legal document. I just wanted to see where people stood. I typed up a letter. It says, "I attest that the anonymous letter attached, posted to Yankton Buzz by Emily Raddick regarding a cover-up in the Department of Equalization, does not accurately depict the conversation had during executive session regarding the letter submitted by Jessica Atkinson. At no time did Commissioners Loest or Healy defend the accused, try to stifle an investigation, or request bringing back any unnamed parties as Director of Equalization. I was not a coward. I signed mine. About 15 minutes prior to the meeting, asked each commissioner to sign them. Without hesitation, I have a signature from Sherry Loest. No hesitation, a signature from Wanda Fox. Without hesitation, a signature from Don Kettering, and Commissioner Klimisch has declined to sign the letter.
Oh, so now
That's
you're
my
going
only-
after me when you hand me something a minute before the meeting and say, here, sign this?
There was 15 minutes and I asked for it. That is my only update.
All right. Way to
With
lead by
that, I
example,
would ask that we
Mr.
go into
Chairman.
executive session for poor relief issues pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3. an executive session for personnel pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, subparagraph 1.
So moved.
Second.
We are now in executive session. I've got the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Dan, did you vote?
I did not.
Would you please vote?
Yes.
We are now in executive session.
Can we take it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think if we shut it off, I think it closes out, and then we start a new one. So I think we need to just leave it run. Shut all the microphones, shut all
think that's what we do.
move to come out of executive session, and you need to turn your thing on.
Second.
Motion and a second to come out of executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now out of executive session and back into regular session. No action will be taken as a result of executive session. Correct. Items for next meeting.
The holidays for the handbook, the federal dollars we need to accept, and we need to discuss the meeting format.
I didn't have anything else for next meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.